pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Item number 2 is consent item. We need to approve the December 10th, 2018 minutes of joint council and P&Z meeting. Can I have a motion for that? Second. All in favor? Aye. That's unanimous. Third item on the agenda is action and discussion item. Discuss, consider, act upon a recommendation to the town council regarding the final plat of lot 1A1 and 3A, block A, Hidden Creek Estates, 11.47 acres, being an plat of lots 1A, Block A, and Lot 3, Block A, in the town of Copper Canyon, Denton, Texas. The property is located at 949 and 965 Meadow Drive, Copper Canyon, Texas. What's your name?
James Stowell with G&A McAdams.
Yeah.
I'm James Stowell, the surveyor of record with G&A McAdams.
Yes, sir. So, can you explain to us what we're trying to accomplish tonight, please?
The purpose of this plat was simply to move the west line of lot 1A 50 feet to give more space between the residents' existing building and the property to the west.
So you said the lot 1A, you want to move it to the east?
We moved it west 50 feet.
West.
Correct.
50 feet.
So lot 1A.
So you're not, so right where the drainage easement is, right?
Yes, sir.
So does it show where the line used to be and where it's at now? Or
It does. It does show where the line used to be. It's, I believe it says lot to be abandoned.
To be, yeah.
That was where the.
Yeah, that's the one that's to be abandoned.
Correct.
Okay, and so you moved it west of basically on the easement.
Correct. Moved 50 feet, which puts it on the old existing 50-foot building line, and then we created a new 50-foot building line.
So this doesn't encroach upon anybody else?
No, the lot to the west is still vacant. Nobody has built a home. The owner owns both the lots. He's going to be eventually selling the western lot.
So there's really no issue.
And so Pat has reviewed this. We need to have Pat speak, or we got the report?
I got the survey.
We got this report back or so.
So the, by how much did the lot increase acreage-wise?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. It was 50 feet over the entire distance, I think it's.
But we're still over 5 acres.
Absolutely.
So
It's, so the 4.983 is after it was moved, right? Just for clarification.
And it's R2 over there.
Sure, I understand.
yeah.
I just trying to get an understanding, that's all.
Yes, the 4.93 is after the.
After the move. Okay. So it's probably 4.7 or something like that.
4.4, I think, something like that.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions?
Not used to a meeting where we don't have anything to argue about.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to approve.
I'll second.
I noticed the minimum elevation on 1 is 575, and then 3A is 568. That's a substantial difference over this.
The 575, there's already an existing house and existing structures on that one. I don't foresee him building anything else on that one. The lot to the west, 3A, has not been built yet.
But that shouldn't, what concern did you?
Well, no, there was a comment made to make the one make sure when we have a 7-foot difference.
That comment I had inadvertently left the finished floor off on that one. That's why that comment's there.
Yeah, it's still the distance. So what's the floodplain elevation on 3A?
I have to double check. I don't know if that creek has been studied. The finished floor that I listed on that plat was also listed on the original plat as well. That didn't change.
There was something to be fixed, and now we kind of fix it to 568. It has been studied that we have a minimum of 568, but yet floodplain could be 567 and a half or 568 and a half.
You'd have to ask Bobby on that one. He did the original flood drainage and all that.
But they will not be able to get a permit if it's within the floodplain.
Right.
It's
It's
outside
outside
the
the
floodplain. I
yeah.
just want to make sure that since we're calling out for a minimum, that there is that we're at least a foot above or more. We are, that's what's on.
Yeah, it says minimum finished
That's
floor,
why- that's why
568.
Oh, on the floor.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what's on the plat, and we're not calling for anything ourselves
No, we'll approve the plat.
as it exists.
Do we
we're
have?
not approving building permits.
I'm sorry.
That would be something, that would, we're not approving building permits. That's another issue. And that's where they're.
Yeah, when they issue the building permit, it's within, at floodplain, they won't approve it. Yeah, that's a building permit issue, it's not us.
Okay.
Good question.
Yeah. So I have a motion, I have a second. Any questions? Any additional questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Item 4, workshop discussion item. Discuss town's masonry hardy plank requirements. In speaking with staff and various people within town, I thought it would be best before we go in the future into discussion and trying to consider to modify our requirements with masonry. As I understand it today, I could be stated corrected if I'm wrong. Right now, our town, the masonry requirement is 80% masonry, and it includes brick, stone, stucco, and a cultured stone, which is man-made stone. And within the town center, that minimum requirement is 90%, as I understand it today. Is that not correct, Chief?
I'm aware of the 80%. I don't know about the.
Yeah, I think the town center, I think is 90%. But regardless, within the town is 80%. And it could be carried the same into the town center, whether it's that way or it's 90%. So I've received a few emails over the last few months asking if at some point we would consider hardy plank or cementatious product similar to hardy can be considered as masonry product to be included in that percentage. And I didn't want to assume that we all know what that is, and I didn't want to assume everyone knew how that installation of all this product take place. I thought it would be best I present it to the mayor and town staff that we do a workshop at our level, and the agenda is published. That way, if any other individual within the town or council would like to participate, that way they can see the difference, and that way we can speak with education when we are reviewing it. We are reviewing it with education and do what's best for the town in the future. So with that, I would like to kind of walk through all of those things that I just spoke of and kind of go into a little further details and open it up for questions. That way, we have a better idea of what we're discussing and what we should do when it comes up in the future. Is that okay, Mayor?
Fine.
Do we, you mentioned the 80% masonry requirement in our current ordinances, do we allow any natural wood siding at this point?
Anything, yes, within that 20%, that 20%, you're able to do all types of things. And it's listed within, and if it's not listed that it's not accepted, then you can't. But I can tell you, wood is allowed, cementatious product is allowed, metal cladding is allowed, all that type of stuff is allowed, as far as I see it. Okay? Go ahead.
No, that's just a
Okay.
question.
So what I'm going to try to do, and I'll try to hold the mic, or try to speak loud, you know, probably can hear me, I'm plenty loud. So, those that are down, the ones down at the bottom, 15s, this is 10, so it's 9 and 10. Yes. So I'll speak loud. So I'm going to stand up is the stuff that is within our ordinance as masonry. So I'm going to turn it to you so you can see some of it. So this is natural stone, cut stone from wood. This is a man-made stone. Okay, usually it comes approximately 2 inches thick, and it's made out of mortar material. Okay, and this is your typical brick. This is your typical base of stucco material. Okay, and then stucco coat goes on top of that. Or when stone manufactured stone, man-made stone is applied, it's applied to this. So the first 2 steps of the stucco application applies to the man-made stone. Okay, so it applies on just like tile with thin set. That's basically what it applies.
Is that also called post stone?
That's correct. So the natural stone and the brick requires 5.5-inch brickledge. So you have to have concrete foundation for this material to sit on. Okay? The reason it's 5.5 inch is you gotta allow for the depth of the material, and then you have to put the mortar, and you have to have an air gap between the back of the mortar and the, so the mortar applies on top or the bottom of the brick, not on the back. Okay, so you got to leave air gap in between for any water that gets behind it to drain out. Okay, so with either one of those applications, so usually you will have typical is you will have what they call the sheeting, which is OSB decking material. Typically is 7/16 thick. That gets applied, and that is a structural membrane also for the framing. Then you have what they call house wrap, and this is what this material is, and I've got a couple of pictures you can pass out. One of the brand names people have seen around is Tyvek or Barricade. And that is to protect from water intrusion and continue to allow the building to breathe. So that's what the air gap does, is water gets in there, it's still breathing, dries it out, it doesn't cause any mold. And weep holes allow the water to go out. So one of the other ways is there's this product you see when you drive around the subdivision you're building in, you see sometimes a lot of that is the green board. So the green board is called, it's a product that's designed, they're the only ones that do it. Basically, they've taken this house wrap and applied it mechanically to that board. So all you do is you take it. So this has that waterproofing and it still breathes through it. So that way it saves you a step in labor. So the zip wall system does that. So you can do either or. So whenever you do, when you do the real stone or the brick, you're keeping the air gap, you breathe, you have water drainage, drain mat to allow things to go out. With the man-made stone, cultured stone, synthetic stone, and stucco, you have to create that. So that's where you put the drain mat, okay, and the lab, that's called the lab, okay? And the lab, you place it and you cover it with mortar, okay, like pin set. That's the first coat. That, they call it scratch coat. That creates, if water, once you apply this or the stucco, once water gets behind it, now it will drain. It's still breathing, there's weep holes on the stone or the stucco. You will see always weep holes at the bottom. Now these two materials do not require brickledge foundation. Okay? Some architects and some builders or designers will, when they're doing man-made stone, they'll design a 2-inch slab, just the thickness of this, so it'll sit on it, because it's pretty heavy. If you pick it up, I mean, this is pretty heavy stuff. Okay? So, and this is what we have as our masonry, that's included in our masonry, that's allowed within the masonry, is, for the most part, there might be one or two other items that are similar to this, that is allowed within our masonry allowance. Okay? When you go to do clean up the siding, this is the siding. And you see it's pretty thin, and that is usually applied if you were to do a textbook. This is a hardy. This is a hardy product, but there's many manufacturers that is cementatious product. Okay, so you're supposed to either put it on zip wall that's already waterproof, or you're supposed to put the same picture you saw on the wall though, is Tyvek house wrap, of some sort to waterproof that building before putting this on. Okay, but that's all that goes on there. Period. There's nothing in between them. There's nothing for drainage, and unless now code within that. Once you go above 2 stories, like 3rd story, and if you're not doing lap siding, so lap siding is when this material goes on top of each other, and that's what you see. Okay, so these are installed horizontally, just like it shows in this picture. This you can carry up 4 stories, no problem, because they still breathe, and water is allowed to run out in between those boards as water gets in. When you do full sheets, 4x8 or 4x9. You're trying to do batten board. At that point, it's pretty solid surface, and you're kind of trapping moisture and water. And the studies have shown, and I've gone to their manufacturer in California, I've taken their classes, so I'm pretty familiar with their system. They don't guarantee anything, and they don't recommend that you install any sheets past 2 stories within sheets. You either got to do a drain mat, basically elevate those sheets away from the wall. You do strips before you install them, so you do vertical strips to get that sheet away from the wall at least 3/4 of an inch, so that way water can drain through it. So when you go above 2 stories, you have to put a drain mat in place in order to maintain the warranty of hardy or any cementatious product.
Does it have to go all the way to the ground, this is the offset?
Yes, 100%, 100%. Yes, you got to carry it down to the foundation.
But not with the lap side?
Not with a lap siding, because this, and if you look from the side, it's creating its own gaps.
Okay.
Okay? Now, I can tell you, by just looking at this, it's obvious, is the labor that goes along with this is a lot more extensive than that. You know, 2 guys can install probably one-story home with siding, 3 days. It's 100% siding. Okay, so there's not a lot of labor. If they know what they're doing, it goes fast.
So how do those shingles get attached?
This by special nails. It's a big head nails that are attached at the top 1.25 inches of
This
this.
is like regular shingle.
That is correct. That is correct. And they're supposed to follow the studs, 16-inch on center. Sometimes they hit them, sometimes they don't. Okay? And that's just reality.
Identical houses built with every one of these, would you assume that they appraise the same or differently?
Differently.
They did
can
not.
tell.
They did not, they'll appraise exactly the same.
No, these, they don't. With the siding,
They absolutely would.
when you go to build a house, you can go to any builder, and if they have 50% siding and 50% masonry.
They did,
and
now the trend is going to the hardy plank. Have you looked at the hardy plank shingles?
yes,
They're on the side.
I know all
That's the biggest trend coming across the United States right now.
Sure,
And
totally.
that is high-end homes.
Sure.
But they're going to appraise just the same. And I've talked to too many appraisers about this that said, no, I don't care what it is, it's not going to be what that exterior is, whether it's hardy plank, which is the coming trend, but everything, the farmhouse look, the Cape Cod look, all those, that is coming. I mean, I live in a house like, Nancy Henry lives in a house just like that.
Sure.
What ours was built as,
Yeah.
we couldn't build today,
Correct.
but it is going to appraise the same.
Mine's all cedar.
Well, same thing, you couldn't build that today, but if you were to rebuild your house exactly like it looks, you could do it with hardy plank. And it's that look, but it's still going to be worth the same no matter what you do.
Our studies and our documentation shows it different.
I've got a lender here that lives here in Carver Canyon. She deals with appraisers every day. What do you think, Don?
I don't see a difference at all.
That's what I thought, and that's what I've seen with these.
From our experience, because, you know, we buy sell products all the time, and when they are brick facade or stone, natural stone versus cementatious product or any kind of siding, they don't appraise the same. But again, if they
They don't
do,
cost the same to build,
yes,
but they will price the same.
Absolutely not. I disagree, 100%.
Okay, so I guess the question here is there any reason why we should or shouldn't consider hardy board to be masonry? I mean,
I'm
it's,
going to let you answer that for yourself. If you're building a house and you've got no air gap, and you have two products, and a lot of these homes today, if you drive around in our area, and I got this from our area, this is their structural sheathing. This is past the structural sheathing. This is,
Oh, they're not gonna put Tyvek on this?
no, they're not putting tieback on this.
They
They're putting
can't.
this, they can, but they're not doing it, and they're putting siding right on top of that. Drive around,
Where is
just within a mile and a half from where we're sitting.
Okay, but I guess I'm a little confused because I hear what you're saying, but all we're really talking about
Sure.
here is not whether people are good builders or cheap builders.
No,
or
I'm
bad
not saying
builders. We're just talking about the exterior
Sure.
for something that we as a town would accept.
Yeah.
And let me ask a weird question.
Sure.
Let's say I want to build a concrete house.
Mhm.
I want to build a form, I want to pour concrete.
Mhm.
Is that acceptable in this town?
Yes. Because it is, again, it is masonry, it's concrete. You're gonna have to finish it, you're gonna have to finish it, okay, with something. So concrete, you're gonna finish it with stucco. Okay, you gotta finish it with something.
I might
And then,
that one.
yeah, but you might even have it textured and painted, but still, it is masonry, it's solid concrete. You are replacing the walls instead of wood assembly and then going back with stone or something.
All right.
You are.
Hang on, back up. I said, if I pour, I mean, there's plenty of commercial buildings that are just plain concrete. I mean, you may or may not even paint it, it's just concrete.
Sure.
If I build my house out of concrete, I just build a form pour concrete, am I required to paint it? Am I required to stucco it, or can I just leave concrete?
That's your color choice, but right now, we don't have it in our ordinance that concrete walls are part of masonry.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay,
because
we don't have it, but obviously, the reason it's not, because it's not affordable. It's
Well,
extremely costly.
I don't
That's
know.
part of the reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we need to decide, I mean, maybe I'm a billionaire and I like concrete houses.
Sure.
It's like they're trying to
And
assess it.
you could probably see if you can get a variance on that, or see if it can be put into that. But as of today, I am not aware as concrete tilt up or poured in place is part of a masonry.
If I wanted to build a concrete block house, just use.
CMU is in this.
So we are allowed to build?
Yes.
Okay, so if I'm allowed to build a concrete block structure,
Mhm.
how's building a concrete house or a hardy board house any different than using concrete blocks? I mean, from the city's perspective, you know, yes, there's cost and appraisal.
Not just that, the R value of it.
But that's up to the homeowner, right? I mean, we don't have a minimum required hardy.
That's correct.
That's not our
Correct.
account, that's up to the homeowner and the architect.
Correct.
And the builder.
Correct.
So I guess, you know, kind of my read on this is, I mean, it's not, if that were a cedar shingle, I'd have a real problem, right? I mean, it's a fire hazard, et cetera. But this, as I understand it, has the fire resistant qualities of concrete or stone or brick or anything else.
This has, some is 25 years, some is 50-year warranty that it carries. You don't get more than 50 years with any kind of cementitious product, okay?
Okay.
This is a lifetime. Okay, so, it just, all I'm saying is I wanted everybody to be on the same page when we're discussing it. Okay, have a better knowledge and make sure we're speaking in the same terms.
So, but our role here is, I guess I'd like to define our role here. Are we talking about aesthetic standards? Are we talking about safety standards? Are we talking about cost of living standards?
It's maintaining the value of the home is one of the things I would be wanting to make sure that we maintain for our residents. Okay,
So something with a 25-year or 50-year warranty on it sounds,
and you
Pretty
know,
loud.
and I'll be more than happy to get independent studies done and putting two identical homes next to each other to appraise, one that's masonry and one that's.
And I guess what you said is exactly why we're not really into the appraisal side of it.
Sure.
I mean, to be honest, my garage door frame rots out and all the time. I mean, we've got all the wood on that, so wood's gonna be gone long with any of these things.
Mhm.
aesthetics is number
living
one.
and maintaining the certain values.
Right, so, but the hardy board is used in very high-end homes all across the US. I mean, it's not like it's the cheap tacky thing.
No, it's not that cheap, that they found an alternate to assist in managing the rising cost of homes.
Construction.
But
That's correct.
you've got, look at David Weekly Homes, largest privately owned home building company in the world. If you look at their high end, they're almost 100%. They're the Sheplap, the farmhouse look, the cake.
Sure, again, because
But
we're trying to find
that's
things.
the style, that's what's coming. What I don't want to see us is being the cookie cutter of the towns that are around us that are 4 houses to a lot and every one of them's brick and they're ugly. You know, I mean, that's what we don't want to do. So I'd like to see us have more versatility in what people can build. When you've got high-end homes, I mean, I pull up millions of them.
Sure, I understand, but these homes
Doing,
would be 20 to 30 to 40% higher if they had this product on it.
but that's not
Absolutely.
the coming style. I mean, that's not what we're seeing down the future. And as we develop and build more houses, people are looking out, they're not, and I'll say it because I'm of this age, they're not the old fogies like most of us in the road, in this room. They're the younger group that are coming out and saying,
Sure.
they don't want this. This is what their parents lived in, the brick house. They want the newer styles, which is like the hardy plank shingle style,
Sure.
which is really interesting. I just saw that, but that's the hottest trend coming across. So I hate to see us tied into just what us and our parents thought was good looking. As a town with the
Yeah.
ability to diversify a little bit, and because we're not, I mean, it's just like what we just approved, those are 5 and 6 acre lots, or 2 or whatever, to be able to have some diversity so that we don't just look like, you know, down here in Flower Mound and every house looks the same. When you've got a product like Hardy Plank that is proven to be a successful product and good, nobody here is building inexpensive homes. You can't buy 5 acre lot for
Sure, I
less
understand,
money
but that's,
than most people build
sure,
a house.
sure, but when you are building, as you
Well, is it
previously.
for us to tell somebody what they should build on their house? Is it for us to say you have to build brick? Why can't we let them, if they've got $500,000 in their lot, they're not going to be
But
building
it
something.
is up to us to tell them, that's why we run this.
That's why there's an ordinance.
That's why there's.
Well, there is a
Because if
ordinance,
not, you
but
really
wouldn't
open
we
up-
want it?
So if it's
wouldn't
not
we
just
want-
to tell them, not to tell them, but what to allow and what not to allow, then we might as well just take it all off the
No, I don't think we take it
Well,
all
well,
off, but I think
so why not?
I think we allow,
So,
the hardy plank, right now, we don't allow hardy plank at all considered.
Oh, no, we do 20%.
20%,
20%.
I'm saying, within the masonry.
Within the masonry, no.
But
And-
now they can't,
Let me
I
ask
just,
a couple of questions
Sure.
about installation techniques.
Mhm.
The hardy plank by itself, you can probably throw it in a bucket of water and it'd probably still be good 50 years later, okay? But when you have potential for retaining water behind any type of substrate, you don't let it vent, you don't let it drain. Are there some potentials, even when you're doing what you call the lap siding,
Yes, sir.
is there potential for incorrect installations where you would retain water and potentially have black mold or?
With the lap siding is difficult to do, okay? But when you get into the sheet siding and the shingle she's speaking of and the batten board, yes. If you're not doing that installation properly, yeah, you could trap water and it could end up with mold, especially when they're putting it straight on something like that.
Well, I came into this meeting thinking, you know, possibly we could just substitute in a couple of alternate materials, but now it's sounding like, even though hardy may be a good product, if we don't go the further step and to explain how it has to be installed, we could potentially have some houses that are going to be rotting from the inside out.
Correct, but that's not our place to tell people, as far as P&Z, put in place the methods.
Well, we have a 5.5-inch brick ledge.
Well,
that's a structural. We don't.
Yeah, ventilation.
Yeah, sure, but that's a structural and national standard.
it's not in our ordinance.
It's not in our ordinance.
You have the same problem with stucco, in fact, it's worse.
And I agree, I can always.
If it's not done
If we're
right-
going to amend this, I think stucco needs to be taken out.
Let me just
You know,
give
the
you-
truth.
I was just thinking, I had a small storage building built with lap siding, and my painter was real industrious, and he caulked all the seams.
Oh, yeah, he can't do that.
So,
Yeah,
well, yeah.
yeah, that's what they're there for.
So, you know, that potential's there. and-
Yeah, so he trapped it all in
But
there.
any of these can be installed incorrectly,
Right.
right? I mean, you can they don't put weep holes in your stone wall. or
Sure.
anything. I mean, and,
Sure.
yeah, we got it. I don't think we can legislate competence in contract.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be great.
And we
Flog it, absolutely.
It's just, all I'm after is to make sure that we maintain certain values and qualities. That's
I think you're on a witch hunt against Hardy Plumbing and.
No, you know how much, these pictures come from my job sites.
I would like to allow our citizens to be able to pick what they want.
Sure.
Within, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying add it to the masonry.
that's,
Or drop the masonry requirement down to 50%.
let's take a ride into 380 up there, and we'll look at through these various projects up there, Providence.
Providence is all,
Really?
and so is Savannah.
Yes.
It's worth so much
It's
money.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Really?
those houses are
It
worth
is. You know, we're talking about. It's much
we have a
lower,
difference
yeah.
in opinion on
Those are
that.
6,000
But here's my
That's
concern,
right.
here's my concern in this. We have a project coming on the north side of 407, or on the south side of 407, that is going to have, that's going to be smaller lots, more like that area up there. If we were to say 100% Hardy Planks, okay.
Well, I'm not saying.
No, nobody said that.
Nobody said that.
No, we were saying, well,
Instead of saying 80%.
okay, well, let's say
So what, do you have a brick edge?
50%.
Yeah.
You already have 20%.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
We are opening the door to have 380.
No, you're not.
Oh,
It's a-
I'm sorry.
That's Toll Brothers. Toll Brothers is gonna do their own thing, and you're talking about $750,000. You know what, honestly, if Toll Brothers did it, it would probably look pretty good, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about up here, and we're talking about acreage, minimum of 1 acre up.
Well, who said that? Is that part of the ordinance?
No,
Can I know that?
Sounds zoning.
we're talking about the zoning here. We're not talking about Toll Brothers, what they're building. That's a Toll Brothers product. We can't tell Toll Brothers, you know.
Well, Toll Brothers has, right now, if he's correct, right now, Toll Brothers has to use 90%.
90% masonry as the
But
ordinance is written.
that's
And
a,
so
it's a
we're-
deed restriction in that.
It's an
And you
ordinance.
know,
It's an ordinance, it's not a deed restriction.
well,
it's an
not
ordinance.
a deed restriction, but you're saying it's in the town center zoning.
That is
We're
correct.
not talking about town center zoning, we're talking about.
I'm talking in general. I've received few emails and few calls over the last 3 or 4 months asking various questions about cementatious product and other things to be considered within the masonry ordinance. That's what this is about. It's not about, you know, as far as Hardy, I'll probably install about 5 to 7 18-wheelers a week of their product. And I know it's an outstanding product.
It is a good, that's why I don't want to see us.
And
not be
I'm not degrading the product. I know what it is, and I'm just trying to make sure and display the difference between, you know, the masonry, true masonry product and cementatious product and siding. That's all
I just would like to give people that are moving here that want to build a little bit more, choices out there to be able to say, instead of going back to the brick and the rock. And that, a lot of you said, nobody made it.
Can they not come for a variance on that?
No, cannot. So if you buy that 5 acre lot.
But I
you just agree-
can take you to subdivisions that were built 10, 15 years ago that allowed a lot of, and it was
So
cementatious
my
product,
understanding
siding.
is what they're doing today is a little different than they do. Because
That's-
I will tell you, 10 years ago, that's true. When I sold houses that had 30% hardy plank it was a lower rate. It's not the same.
Sure, but that's, all they're doing is providing different type of material that looks different, to give different, artistic look, but it's still the same thing, and it has, it's not gonna, 10 years from now, when that fat is gone, okay, that's gonna be here in front of us.
So that's what we deal with just everything
Yeah.
that's bad to go on.
Okay, I just
I
want to.
think that's a homeowner's choice, of what they want their.
But it's really a residents of the town's choice of what they want, in my opinion. That's why I'm here, is to make sure.
I would agree with you
and-
if we were talking about lot and block, but when we're talking about acreage properties, 5 acres, 6 acres, whatever it is,
But,
I don't think they
sure,
should
I
all.
understand, but hear me out. When, we cannot, in my opinion, and we can discuss it further later, is treat certain sector different than others. That's why we have across the town.
Why are we saying it's only acreage? Why are we not considering?
Because it kind of blends in, the look blends in more.
Why are we not considering the town center property as part of, you say it's only acreage?
Well, my understanding is the town center is a different, that's 90%, the rest of this is 80%. So we could leave that 90% and say the 80% goes to, well,
Okay.
you could either say take hardy plank as a masonry item, or you could lower the masonry down to, say, 70% and allow hardy
Are
plank
we
on the
sure
other.
that they're not the same for whatever reason?
And-
We can separate the two. Are we sure that we can separate the two?
I don't think, I would
I
suggest.
don't know, and that's a different
The
discussion.
definition is in both. One's just 80, one's 90, but it's still a definition
That's
of
right.
masonry.
That's
You gotta decide what is masonry.
That's good.
But if
Do
it
you want to
applies
include
to,
hardy plank in the masonry
that's the only real
definition?
question is.
Or
as
you
far as-
could lower the 80 to 70. Or 60.
So if we include, that's what I'm saying, right now, if we included, if
Hardy
we
plank.
included.
It could be, they could do it 100%.
They can do 100%, that's my
Absolutely.
point. So our
Absolutely.
entire, so that anything that goes in the town center could then be 100% hardy.
Well, but anything that can go outside could be 100% too.
What do you mean? Well, no, I know, but I'm not, like I said,
But I
we're not
understand.
saying,
Yeah,
the
there's-
acreage stuff is kind
The
of
fact that
separated.
they-
You have-
well,
you
because
have a
they're
little bit of-
different, that is, from my understanding, the town center is 90%.
But
Yeah,
if we,
So you leave the 90 at 90 and just change what's outside the
but
town
if
center.
you include hardy plank as part of the masonry, then the hardy plank is
Oh,
the
I see.
same as brick. 90 goes away. It doesn't
So,
matter.
yeah,
So the only thing that falls in the 80 or
I
90 is basically wood.
Paul, this is a very good point. So
Yes.
tonight's workshop is about not whether the material is good or not, is that material being considered as part of
Exactly.
the
That's
percent
what I'm
masonry.
trying
You want us to keep it as a masonry or
Yeah,
yeah,
so
just to change the
you,
amount.
yeah, that is correct. That's totally different story that we can
Yes.
talk about. We're talking about this material,
Is it masonry?
is it masonry? That's all we're talking about.
Include it with the rest of the
Masonry, and
items
I'm,
that we
and I'm
covered.
showing everybody that it really, it's night and day difference, okay? And,
It's concrete.
yes,
I mean, I could have a concrete house, but I can't have a house made out of pieces of concrete.
but it's, understand that it's got a lot of fiber and paper that is very easy to be damaged, understand that. Even they tell you it's compact and all that, I can show you that this and this
I
product.
got chunks of stone in my house that's flaking off too, so, it's stone doesn't, you might think it lasts forever, but some of it is not as good quality as other parts of it, so.
The way I see this, we have three different categories related to this product, masonry or hardy. We have the aesthetics, appearance, and I'm not arguing pro or con for either traditional masonry or hardy board. Secondly, we have longevity, and once again, 25, 50 years for hardy board is, it's a pretty long time. So I'm not going to put down hardy board for longevity. One thing that we're still not tiptoeing around is the safety in two aspects, structurally and breathing. And if we don't take another step forward and say, we're gonna allow hardy, but it has to be installed in a certain manner, and you're gonna potentially have mold behind the walls, which is a health hazard. And you're gonna have wood behind the hardy board deteriorating to the point, maybe not in our lifetime, but you're gonna have walls deteriorating and collapsing, because the walls are carrying a load. This stuff isn't carrying a load, neither does the masonry either, but the masonry wall, because of structural code, they have about a 1/2 inch brick ledge or 2 inch brick ledge for the post stone. Either one gives you some breathing space behind the wall. So if we say, yeah, we're gonna improve hardy board, whatever percentage, we're probably gonna have to also have some requirements that our inspectors are gonna follow up on to make sure that it is installed correctly.
There is no percentage, the percentage is 100%. Once we include it, it's considered.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
well,
moved on, but he's saying,
you're saying-
if you back off of that, let's say, what he's saying, it's not included, but let's take the 80 and turn it into 70, 60, whatever, you know, and that way it increases the hardy. And that's what he's speaking.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if we change the percentages to allow more hardy, you know,
By making it masonry.
by calling it a masonry product, then we're gonna have to address how it's installed, because there are gonna be unscrupulous builders that build a house incorrectly, 20 years down the road.
If we
Well,
include
once
it,
you get it, it's the same thing, like I said with stucco. I mean, you know, relocation companies will not allow somebody to relocate to buy a stucco home. There's a reason for that. Because so often people don't install it right, pieces and, so I don't know that we can get into dictating.
If our ordinance
how to do it.
specifies how stucco home is gonna be built, or how the hardy is gonna be applied, then it's very easy for relocation companies to go, okay, this house was built after 2019 in Copper Canyon, we know that it was properly installed because it was inspected.
They have no issues with.
Unfortunately, we have stucco now with none of that.
Well, yeah, if you change the ordinance now, you have to change, you can't go back and pick the homes that are built that way, but when the wall falls off on the ground because the wall right behind it, then you're probably going to get it fixed right. Anyway, that's just my comments about the material. It's more of a safety from structural, if the wood rots behind it, and breathing if you get involved.
So, again, you guys are the experts on it. I just, when an inspector goes out to inspect a property, I guess what I'm trying to figure out is what standard is, he's not measuring the standard of whether that house passes inspection by what our codes are. He's going by standard building codes, isn't he?
That is correct.
So, I mean, it seems to me if there's a standard building code for hardy board or for stucco, in whatever, that's the standard by which that inspector is going by it. So it doesn't really matter what we say or don't say, because he's got to go by the standards for the building industry. I mean, is it a 5.5 inch for the stone, or did the builder cheat make it only 4? I mean, that's what he's looking at. We don't have to specify that, right?
Correct.
So I agree with your point completely, but I'm just thinking, we don't need to tell the inspectors how to do this, or we don't need to tell homeowners how to do it, because they have a builder who's gonna have to pass inspection, and they're gonna go, their touchstone is gonna be building codes, not what we 5 people here say, right?
Is there a code, are there codes in place that specify how to properly install?
Yeah,
hardy?
so there,
manufactured.
Manufactured, so,
They
but-
give you a code and a
but,
distance and all that stuff.
but,
But for us to even consider trying to manage that in our conversations, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen in the field realistically, to the extent that what the inspector looks at now, and he comes back tomorrow and looks at, and what's happened over 8 hours, you have to trust that they put it in correctly. It's no different than a brick home or anything else. So that part of the conversation, this is more of probably aesthetics, values, and or maybe even long-term maintenance.
that's what he said, the statement that he said, that is
So-
to be considered. Now, you can't police what you think should be done, but that is a concern that he has in his decision-making, whether he wants, he personally feels like he should, be on board to approve it part of the masonry or not.
It's a very
Okay,
simple.
I understand what he's saying.
That's all it is.
We can't, personally, I don't think we can weight it at.
Well, like,
For that
Brett,
reason.
we
But
can
I do think there's probably more common, obviously, to
example, installation of drywall. If you want to get your home electrically inspected, I'm building a home right now, you have to get the electrical inspection done inside before the drywall goes up. So the electrical inspector can make sure that the wiring is done correctly before the drywall goes up. So if you were going to install hardy board, the step would be you have to make sure that the backing is properly in place before the hardy board.
So I'm gonna, and I was trying to answer you while we got interrupted. So the codes show, there's various codes that show what needs to be inspected and how it needs to be inspected and what to expect when you're inspecting. Various cities and towns adopt what they want to inspect off of the code, okay? I don't know if our town, for example, the sheeting, it's called a sheeting inspection, brick tie inspection, two different things. They're not the same. So the sheeting is just kind of what I displayed earlier. There's a lot of cities we build in that don't do sheeting inspection, okay? There are some that want to do it, and they want to do it by sections of walls at a time because they are concerned about that assembly. They take personal interest in making sure that assembly is correct. So the code is in place, okay? The National Building Code is in place to be able to do that, whether the town or city adopts certain things to inspect. Now, there are certain cities, they don't have the staff, either the knowledge or the manpower to do that. They require the builder to bring in a third-party inspector that have to certify that these things are
So
being done.
would that not take care of our problem?
I'm sorry?
So would that not be
Yes,
the
ma'am.
answer to your
Yes,
question?
ma'am. That would answer, that's what I was trying to.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good explanation
Yeah.
of saying uniform building code. If we are going by it, which we should be,
I'm sorry,
what is the answer?
I'm a simple guy, I like simple questions and hopefully simple answers. It seems to me we're going all kinds of rabbit trails here. I mean, to me, this is a definitional question. Is hardy board masonry in the general world's understanding, and is that something that we should say, yeah, well, yeah, I mean, we say masonry, so hardy board yes, hardy board no, it's not. I mean, that's all the inspection stuff. I think, again, we're just planning and zoning here, we're not, doing building codes.
Sure.
I mean,
But I think
that's
But it's a
sure,
good
but that's
question.
it. His questions
I know, it's a good
to
question.
help him with his
Okay, so-
decision. That's all these are.
Right, so.
And I appreciate all of those questions because that, it brings things up that maybe I haven't thought of. So all
Okay,
questions
so
are good questions.
Let me ask my question again. I want to build a concrete house. I want to build a form and pour raw concrete. I'm not
That's
going to paint it, I'm not going to stucco it, I want to build a.
that's
concrete.
masonry. And I can,
It's not currently listed under our.
that's correct.
That's right, it's not listed, so.
Because it's not typically built. Now, maybe it starts to be in that way, just no different than, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, there was no cementatious siding, it was cardboard, okay, and vinyl.
That's exactly
All
my
right.
question.
So when it
As
becomes,
times move ahead and new products are developed, we need to decide whether we want to accept them or not accept them.
Sure.
As time goes along.
correct,
So when our masonry definition was there, we didn't include it because we didn't know it was going to exist. And I guess, the idea that me building a concrete house, you're saying, well, I mean, most people would, I don't know, would you say poured concrete is masonry?
In Asia too, I'm not sure.
I mean, a mason isn't involved, right, because he's hacking stone, but neither are they in bricks. So, but I guess the question is I would think if someone came to us and said, I want to build a house of poured concrete, we'd say, you're crazy, that costs too much. No, I'm rich, I want it. Could we tell them no?
but that's gonna be a one-off. You gotta look at things that the general public, the average person is gonna be able to afford to do.
Right, yeah, but again, it's just because
Glass
it's
is
in there doesn't mean
is
it's
listed
not.
in there. Glass blocks is part because it's, there is a section for glass block.
So you can
There
have
is-
a wall of glass block.
There is a
So
section.
where
I
does
saw.
it come into your masonry requirement?
I can't remember. I know it's listed in there. It's not in
No, I
ma-
mean, I've seen houses that truly have glass walls.
Yes, I don't think it's masonry, but they usually incorporate it.
So how does that come in? I mean, if somebody comes in and has a beautiful view of a lake and just wants a glass wall.
That's like windows, those will be like.
But it's not a window, it's
Yeah.
a wall. How does that come in under our?
I don't remember, I'll have to look at that.
Is a glass door a door or window?
I guess they come under the same.
So all the windows and windows.
That's what I'm saying.
So the windows come in, so how do you?
I mean, the whole thing's.
You know, I just wish there was a way, I think I would be happier if I knew there was a way that if you wanted to come in and do that, and it doesn't exactly fill this, our bill, that there's a way to come in and have it reviewed. Because we don't know what's out there. We don't know what's gonna be coming down the pipe.
Well,
But
Here's
right
what
now, I
here's
don't
what I
think there's a
know,
way to
here's
have
what I
it.
do know. If we add that to our list of acceptable
Masonry.
masonry, we have now opened the door for town center to be 100% hardy board buildings.
Or anywhere, yeah.
I don't worry about anywhere else as much as that, because, once again, we got some space over here. Whatever it is, it could be
You know,
behind
I'm
trees
not
and
for
this,
sure
that.
that
But
we
my,
couldn't recommend it for 1 acre or more. What's to keep us from saying, any home built on 1 acre or more can be that, which doesn't affect that stuff over there.
and I don't know it. I don't know what the answer to that is.
Well, the good thing is we're not deciding tonight, so that's the good,
Just-
it's just discussion.
We can just sit
So
here and
there's
read each
much
other.
all
more-
it-
much
that's
more
all it
input
is.
required.
Yeah,
It's just, this is just to, food for thought,
yeah.
and just to get.
Well, it's a great visual.
Yes.
Well, this, I mean, the reason I'm asking about the concrete, I don't want to keep beating on the same, what if I wanted to build a house that had tiles? What if I wanted to tile the outside of my house, with big old, 16-inch square tiles? Is that masonry? Could I do that?
Right now, it's not, in the construction world, it's not considered that.
The construction world doesn't consider that because it's expensive and hard.
No. It's not actually, it's not.
Because it doesn't have the drainage and all that.
That is correct. It's only accepted as an accent type elements. So you see it on like towers, okay, we're building
Yeah.
right now.
Yes.
And they go as that accent
So
elements.
we are allowed to build a concrete block house.
Yes, CMU, and then you're basically putting mortar on it, covering it up, it ends up being like a concrete wall.
Right.
We already have that in our ordinance.
So I guess, what is the composition of a hardy board that makes it not just like concrete? I mean, it's got some.
It has a lot of fiber and a lot of paper. I mean, you see I broke that with my hand.
Yeah.
This was one piece.
That's right, it's got like, not asbestos, but fire retardant.
That is
stuff in
correct.
it.
Yes,
Actually, the fiber is wood.
Wood fiber?
Yes.
Well, so it's paper.
It's wood pulp.
yep. There is some cement mixed in within the paper.
Anybody else have any comments that, I mean, we don't need to, we don't have to sign up for speakers or anything, it's just an open forum of discussion.
I hear you talk about a concrete house. They're actually pretty affordable these days. It's called 3D printing concrete houses. Pretty slick. You should
Have you
check
seen
into
one?
it. Oh yeah,
I've heard about them, I haven't seen them.
They're pretty
Also
slick.
Down in Highland Park. Not Highland Village, Highland Park.
Wow.
Because they had
Yeah,
mines.
and that's something that here even 5 years ago, we would have never believed would have existed.
Right.
A
Yes.
friend of mine lived in one over in Highland Village. It was one of the cinder block house. It was all made out of all cinder blocks.
Yeah, cinder block CMU.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Who knows?
You know, when you talk about maintainability, brick, rock, you don't have to paint, but you gotta paint that.
Yes, you do.
You gotta paint it, so
Or you can
it
get,
doesn't
buy it
last
pre-painted.
25 years. The they're gonna paint out there that I've seen last 25 years, okay? So when you say it's gonna last that, you forgot about the aesthetics. And the aesthetics are, the paint's gonna peel off of that. And by the way, what color, what controls do you now have? You open up another Pandora's box of aesthetics,
Of course.
you know?
That's why I generalized my statement with saying aesthetics.
Exactly.
I didn't want to go into a lot of detail of that.
And one personal observation, I had a remodeling done and I had the siding replaced. And the only thing that I observed was that you hit that thing wrong, and you crack it, and you start over with another piece. It is fragile when it comes down to installing that. You gotta be good at it. You really do. And I'm concerned about that from the standpoint of quality. You hit that with a baseball, guess what
You
happens?
put a dent in it.
You're gonna put
Even
it
on
in.
a solid
You
surface.
know, and
Now, when
then-
it's installed on this board, the hail that we had that went through roof
Yep.
decks, it'll go through it.
Yeah. The other question I have, is there any deal with when you talk about a house that's, in our case, tornado-proof to some degree, so there's a wind issue, is there any wind issue with this siding versus other sidings?
It's not the siding that goes into the structural. It's the structural
It's the structure
membrane.
itself. Oh,
The
okay.
structural membrane itself. These are nothing but facades. Any of that material is facade. The only thing that's not facade is like the young lady over there said about the cinder block. That CMU cinder block home, that entire wall there is structural.
But you know that we're not allowed to do cinder block here.
And I don't remember. I seen CMU.
It's excluded.
Is it?
It is,
You can't
yes.
have the concrete house.
Darn it.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one issue to think about, we have a couple of neighborhoods that are 1 acre lots. So, and they're already all built out. If somebody bought one of those homes, they could bulldoze it and put up, possibly 100% party board.
Sure.
Sure.
If we made a change.
If you made a change.
And it was, yeah, maybe.
Sure.
And would that bring the value down of the rest of the homes around it?
I certainly
From what I
something about
know, if it
population.
doesn't today, it will 10 years from now.
Right. So that's something to consider for sure.
But, you know, I hear that, but I'm not sure I'm still struggling with whether or not that's something that we need to worry about. In other words, if I build a house with 1 bathroom for 6 bedrooms or something, that could bring the value down too.
Sure, of
But that's not our job.
Sure,
I mean,
exactly.
I don't know, everybody has a 3-car, it only has a 1-car garage instead of a 3-car.
But it's something that we need to know and understand in making our decision.
I like this point. Can we paint houses purple if we want to?
I don't think we have it.
No, we don't have
We
it.
have a color code.
No, because we do not have a homeowners association, and we don't have those as an ordinance as far as the town.
So we can't have that party board, but I can't paint it purple and green.
Any
Okay.
development coming in could put a deed restriction into whatever they want.
Sure. Sure. Any other questions?
I sure talked to my builder just about the subject, just to get his opinion and viewpoint of it. He basically said, well, we're considered a equine community with a, farm-type environment, ranch-type environment. And a lot of farms and ranches, they have the siding appearance, they have you mentioned the new party shingles or something like that. He said that is typical in those communities, but yet you don't allow it at this point for people that want to come in right now and make a new house look like it's a ranch house or a farmhouse. They're kind of surprised that you can't use this material at this point. And I'm just sharing that comment, I'm not saying whether I agree
That's
with it.
exactly my point.
So,
I mean, so many places out here have horses and cows and, acreage. I hate to see us boxed into what's
So my question,
honestly pretty antiquated.
my question to the P&Z or even to the city is, who defines what ordinances we use when we build the homes? Do we specify that? If we were to approve more hardy board, would we say you have to build it for this code? Or does the city take that on a separate note? Is that something?
Code is a national code that the town has adopted certain codes, to follow certain codes, okay? And are
Is it
we on a
international?
2012 here, Sheila? Are we? Okay, all right. Most likely we're probably following the 2012 codes, if I was to guess. Okay.
I think the answer to the question was the 80 and 90% ordinance coverage. You were asking about how do you control it.
change the percentages of masonry, or allow this to be considered a masonry product, you know, how would it be installed? I'm still back to the installation procedure and what code would govern that. Before I would just say, yeah, I want to include this masonry product, or yeah, I want to change the percentages of masonry product. I'd like to know that we have some chance of having it installed correctly.
That's gonna be code related. We really cannot, we can request that council approves a more extended inspections. Okay, if it's not already part of our inspection checklist. We have a checklist that a builder will get to tell them the items that is required for inspections that we have adopted.
But part of the answer, President, we're already allowing people to do this to 20% of their house without any,
That's correct.
without any checking at all, so. I mean,
We don't know without checking. I don't know what we
well, I
have.
mean,
I don't know.
whatever standards are, those standards are already in place for people who are building houses now. They can use up to 20% of that. So those standards are already in place.
I have a question from when you were saying that hardy plank would be subject to being busted up by hail or baseball or something. Do insurance companies make any distinction between a hardy plank house and brick or natural stone house?
The insurance on it goes with the value, right? And they make notations of what that product is when they are insuring it. They will put the approximate. So let's say, for example, Town of Copper Canyon changes the ordinance and has cementatious product as part of masonry. And a house is built here and they end up doing cementatious product 100%. When the insurance company comes, they have a checkbox if it's masonry. When they see the cementatious product, they'll check it off no. Okay? So they know they're not covering any kind of masonry product on the house. And if it has masonry, they put the percentage of masonry. And that's how they value what they're going to charge for insurance along with the value of the house.
I think you could make the analogy to roofing. Certain roofing materials get much lower rates than
That is correct. Same difference. Same difference.
They get your
Same
handled the same way.
Same way.
So are you saying that the insurance companies distinguish between?
Siding and masonry.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I know from personal experience, they differentiate between old-fashioned siding, like you were talking about, just
Yeah.
paper-based, and hardy board, because we had a hailstorm last year and another one in 2011, I believe. On 11, I lived on Post Oak Drive, and the side of my house facing west looked like a grizzly bear shredded it because the hailstone just chipped away at it. The insurance guy basically told me, we'll cover this 100% as long as you replace it with hardy board, the better. But why you put the regular old-fashioned siding back up there?
So, personal experience, when we had our last hail here, when was that, 18 months ago?
Yes.
Right? Okay. When the insurance company came out, where I had siding at the top, where it's not a structural, where stone can be placed on, it's like the second or third floor. All of it's got dinged up, and I have hardy, okay, in those areas. You see them, the hail just, it's like a machine gun, okay, that they pay to get all that replaced.
And another thing to consider, if we get beyond, at least work on the percentages as compared to all 100% acceptability, we can say the percentages are back of the home compared to what faces the street.
Yeah, you can go into various details. You can get it.
So we can play with percentage, but you can move it from back, from front to back.
That's pretty common.
That's pretty common. That's
right.
right.
I'm just saying, we can keep that in
That
mind also.
will end up
Just
doing
to
a lot
keep
of
the cost
variances
down.
because, Ron said, setbacks or sometimes
That's
not.
the
good.
problem, is Board of Adjustments can't look at it.
No, you
Because
just,
it's
no,
not,
we just make the call,
Yeah. They
ordinance.
can't, you can't take it to a variance. That's what I know.
Zero, zero in the front.
I hope that,
Flag,
yeah.
Fuzzy, some of them are.
That's true, you can always tell.
I hope that tonight, we brought a lot of things to light to where, again, food for thought for us to kind of,
Discussion.
yes, and,
And thank you for bringing all.
oh,
this.
yeah, I figured visual is probably best.
So if a person or a builder right now came in and wanted to use 50% hardy board, anything more than 25, the answer is absolutely no right now.
Right now, that's the way it
Okay.
is.
If a developer came into a neighborhood, is there such a thing as a developer agreement that would allow them to change that percentage?
Right now, it's not, the ordinance for the town, they would have to negotiate that agreement with the town and bring it to P&Z for us to consider.
That
Okay.
is another potential avenue for.
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
That is correct.
I just want to know
Absolutely.
what our options were.
That is
I
correct.
like to leave
Yes,
it
sir.
Not totally correct. We have one subdivision in town, Copper Creek, where you're going,
Right.
that was the result of a lawsuit and a developer's agreement in the lawsuit.
Okay.
And that, the builder wants to change that, to be able to allow more hardy planting. And the owner of that land, which is actually David Pearson, Valerie Pearson's dad,
Right.
would have to petition the town council, not the P&Z, the council, to change that if they were to include more hardy plank in there or whatever. So it would have to be the owner of the land in the lawsuit would have to be the one to petition the town to change it, and it would go strictly to the council. It wouldn't go to P&Z because it's not an ordinance.
Part of the lawsuit agreement, that's what you have to do?
Yes.
So that's just one particular case?
That's one particular thing in the lawsuit, in the developer's agreement that's part of the lawsuit.
Okay.
So
That's a unique circumstance.
Thank you for that.
that's a unique circumstance.
Yes, you're correct. But typically, they would bring it to change the ordinance for that area possible, for that subdivision.
No,
No, it's a lawsuit, it's a negotiation.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking about that. Just if a developer comes in and buys 100 acres and they want.
right, it's not the product of the lawsuit.
That is correct. That's what I'm speaking
Yeah.
of.
Okay.
Okay.
I got a whole, if you want to see it, these are all different.
Why would she last week's meeting for 33 minutes if it was already in the law?
Pass it in, scroll up.
Why would she take over the meeting for 33 minutes?
Okay. So, any other questions regarding that? If not, I've got one more item that I want to just ask is, Paul, can you attend a joint council P&Z meeting on February 25th? Yeah, okay. Tom?
Change it so that you could add
I would have to check my schedule.
Can you email me? Yes, okay.
Her husband wants to change it to
Yes.
but she is conflict of
We
interest.
have another, we'll probably, we may have another flat to review,
It's proof from dad.
but I know somebody else said yes about something.
Yeah, the last email I said yes to this one and no to.
And it's not written here, is what I'm asking.
What's
So
the-
right now, there's 3 of us
Not keep her from
that
saying.
can be here.
Put me down as a possible, I just have to check.
Mark, you said yes.
I said no. I mean, that's what I said before.
You're on the tip.
Paul's a no.
Well,
Uh,
Is maybe,
Okay.
yeah.
And Tom is possible. So that would give us a quorum. And Bill can attend.
Is there,
That would,
is there another day besides that one?
no, that's the only one that other. Okay, so with that, can I get a motion to adjourn, please? Second? Can I get a second motion to adjourn?
Oh, before we adjourn, I didn't want to.
Okay, sorry?
I just wanted to know, I mean, it's good we had this meeting, and I appreciate you bringing those samples in, I learned a lot more. But I'd like to know what our next steps are, what we're going to try to accomplish after this discussion.
I did that in preparation, if it when and if something comes up regarding that, because from all the traffic I'm seeing, I'm suspecting at some point in the next 60 to 90 to 120 days, well, we might be asked to come in to either a P&Z meeting or a joint meeting with council to discuss this very item. I just did it in anticipation.
Can you check on uniform building code, what's city, what do they require?
What our city,
Yeah, what part of the code are we, I would assume we use the code.
yeah, sure, but what is our checklist is what you're saying.
Exactly.
I will get with Stephen.
And maybe that would be half the answer, was saying, if we're not, what part of the code
Yeah.
should we use? And that would go into a lot of issues.
I will get with Steve. I will get with Steve. And
And
Donna and Sheila have a checklist here in the office that I can get from them.
Because it doesn't say that we can't up it, you know, it's not, maybe it needs to be.
She
See
should
what
have
needs
it, I
to
would
be used.
think, but
And
it's,
that's all.
it's pretty disturbing to me that you guys don't have too many documents at
Oh,
all.
Yes.
Ready?
Any-
All right, we can adjourn now? All in favor, say aye. Adjourn. It is 8:16.
Just anything, if I do all the help request, it takes 64 days. Say it again.
Well, hopefully he's still in business and does it. I mean, he does good, but the one thing I like about it is mobile, so right down